Well, it could have been better. It could have been worse. Kiss your sister time. Welcome to the Moohead Radio Cleveland Browns post-game show. Final score, an overtime tie, 21-21. I already see joining me is my equine friend Brian, and Mike is joining me as well. I guess I get the first word, and well, Mike was here. Mike isn't here anymore. I think this is the way the game should have ended, because neither team really appeared to be interested in winning or able to win. And that's an odd thing to say about the Steelers, not such an odd thing to say about the Browns. And that's kind of the way it should have ended, don't you think?
I know there's probably going to be about 50 Vegas bookies that are going to be finding their own little plots outside of Vegas.
Yeah, I want to let me tweet out that the show is on right now. That would be kind of a smart thing to do, don't you think? Well,
some of them might be stuck on the I had to do a game stream through Yahoo, so they were a few minutes behind the actual broadcast.
All right, I'm just putting this up. It's just been a long wait for this, right?
Jesus Christ, we got to make fucking James Conner look like, instead of the 18th string running back that he is, no, we have to make him look like a fucking Hall of Famer.
Well, I don't think he looked like I think anyone could have run around that. I mean, that period of time. Hey, Gemini, how you doing? Just stop, dude. Hi there, Doggy Bones and General Dog. Hi to everybody in the chat room. I think that anyone could have run through those holes. I don't think that he was anything really special. I think that the Browns hit a period of time where they were more concerned with the forward pass, and they were not playing with a lot of aggression, and we were getting pushed off the line, and there were available holes. But I'll tell you this much: the game's 21-7. Pittsburgh has it salted away, and they start running the ball up the middle, and the Browns get into the backfield and stop them consistently. And then the turnover parade. Give the defense all the credit in this game. Give the offense none. The defense put them in with the opportunity to win. And I'm still trying to see that last block in the back by Myles Garrett. I think that's a Mickey Mouse call. The guy was already running out of bounds with the ball, and I don't understand how that flag gets thrown. It looked like he just kind of threw his arms out. I mean, it's not like a change of direction block in the back. He just like pushed somebody from behind. I don't know how that gets called. And the angle, they didn't show it again. You could only see it from behind. Maybe somebody in the chat room got a better look at it than I did. But that looked like a real Mickey Mouse call to me. But at any rate, I don't think that Zane Gonzalez did himself any favors with that final kick. I don't think he's going to be on the roster much longer. He wasn't accurate last year, and that ball never got up off the ground. The Steelers could sit there and pose all they want, but that kick didn't get off the ground. And, when you have a guy who's never won anything in his life as a professional in that situation, sometimes that's just what happens. And that's exactly what happened. The kick never got up. Ivan Boswell's kick, was hooked, and that was a lifesaver in and of itself. So it's true DC gaming. It was very wet out there. You give everybody the benefit of the doubt, but the thing that I saw more than anything is that Pittsburgh was running blitzes at Tyrod Taylor, and the Browns were not able to pick it up. They dictated our offense to us. We couldn't get anything going, and the defense just kept giving us opportunities. If you want the good news is the defense comes as advertised. They got the turnovers that we did not get in years past. They gave us every opportunity to win the football game. I'm going to tell everybody that Tyrod Terwilliger is not going to be the quarterback for very long because he's just not very good. We have a 3rd and 1, and he underthrows that ball to Njoku, who had his man beat. He underthrew Josh Gordon in the critical situations where he did have time. He didn't make the plays. He didn't make the throws. Throws were late getting to where they were getting to, and they really look like they didn't have zip on them. When you look at Baker Mayfield's arm and Tyrod Taylor.
Here's his all-pro stat line for the game. 15 of 40 for 197 yards, 4.9 yards per attempt, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 7 sacks for 47 yards.
Yeah, but look, you know what they're going to do? They're going to excuse him. And the reason is because Ben Roethlisberger turned the ball over in the wet weather so many times. They're going to say he was inaccurate because of the wet ball. And just like they're going to say the reason that Ben turned it over. And there is going to be some truth to that because obviously you've seen Roethlisberger do a lot better than that. And, Tyrod Taylor, I can't really tell you about, but Ben Roethlisberger, I can. And to see him make the critical turnovers that he made in this game is surprising. That would be the best way of putting it. Not feeling the pass rush, getting hit from behind, popping the ball up, Schobert getting the ball. That is very un-Roethlisberger-esque. But again, the conditions, and it was raining harder in the end. And we talked about this on the show on Friday, that all weather indications were showing that the rain would intensify the later it got in the game. I thought we were goners at 21-7. You pull a tie out of this, and I'd say the Steelers feel like they blew an opportunity to win a game, and the Browns are going to walk out of this game feeling like, at least defensively, that they did what they were supposed to do, and they played the aggressive game that got turnovers. So, it's going to, and like I've said in the weeks running up to the game, the problem is the offense. It will continue to be the offense. Receivers are not open downfield. We don't have a quarterback who is going to get us chunks of yards and big plays. So that's going to be the bugaboo of this team.
Not throwing the football.
No, I mean, look.
Yeah, a 24-yard run and a 20-yard run for a touchdown. But beyond that,
a number of people can stand up and say, hey, Myles Garrett can stand up and say, I played a game, man. I got to Roethlisberger like I said I was going to. He got the strip. He got the strip of Connors. He got, he caused turnovers and caused penalties, holding penalties against the offensive line of the Steelers, against Villanueva. He did his job. Our secondary is vastly improved. Look, we would have given that game up in a heartbeat. When we were down 21-7, it would have ended up probably 34, to 7. That's the kind of thing that we would have done in the past. But Denzel Ward looked like a real honest-to-God number 4 pick. But having the cramping Demarius Randall in there making some plays, having even Mitchell make a play on an underthrown ball to Antonio Brown, Jabril Peppers picking up a fumble and running it down to the 1-yard line. All of these things are real positives as far as improvements from a year and 2 ago. And if we can defend with our secondary, our defensive line will get the job done. The thing that I was most afraid of came to pass in this game, which was rain, but not the big winds. Never was the wind even mentioned in the game by the announcers. So there wasn't the big wind. There was a lot of rain, and that slows down pass rush. I mean, with the exception of straight route, blitzes that they were running at the Browns, there was just a lot of sloshing around, in the trenches, and it was difficult. And I was afraid that their receivers would have a great advantage because they know where they're going and our defenders don't know where they're going, and that could create a problem. But I'll tell you, our secondary held together, and loads of credit to the defense of this football team for making plays when they fell behind. They had a bad spell defensively where Ben threw the ball down the field, and then it looked for sure that all was done, and they turned it up a notch, and they didn't quit. So we should be grateful for the fact that our football team did not quit. A tie against the Steelers in this circumstance for the Cleveland Browns, first game of the season, is a win. And the reason it's a win is because it's not a loss. It's not something that puts you a game behind. It's something that teaches you. It gives you the experience. And it's like I told everybody Friday, it's all about knowing how to win. This team doesn't know how to win offensively. The kicker doesn't know how to kick a game-winning field goal. We've got a lot of young guys. We got guys who are making mistakes, Desmond Harrison, who are young guys. Nick Chubb just missed a big block that got his quarterback killed and got him taken out of the game because of it. Young players make mistakes. That's what I can tell you.
Because he had that all of a sudden he had a big run and then nothing.
Yeah, he missed that block. And, you cannot.
So if he got injured or what?
No, he just missed that block and they didn't put him back on the field. This is a tough situation for a Desmond Harrison or a Chubb who's not played at full speed in the NFL in really difficult weather conditions in the, in the heat of the moment. Chubb went the wrong way. He just ran the wrong play and the guy came around and sacked the quarterback. It was clearly his man to block. And I think the coaching staff understands you can't take a chance on losing a football game with a young player. Even if he might be a better runner in the long run than Carlos Hyde isn't going to miss that block, you see. So I think that's the right decision because, I think Desmond Harrison is going to grow from his experience out there because it was baptism by fire, really difficult for him. And he sucked it up and got it together better in the second half. And hopefully he'll continue to improve as the season goes on. We were never in a position to establish the running game except for the one big drive in the game. But after that, man, we were just forced to throw the ball. And again, Tyrod Taylor is just not a guy who's going to put up a lot of points and a lot of yardage. That's just not what he does. And I know a lot of people are going to be screaming for the young quarterback. But look, Tyrod Taylor got beaten up today. You get sacked 7 times. One of those times, it's likely if that happens very much more, he's not going to get up and you're going to see the rookie quarterback, but not yet.
I don't want to see Baker Mayfield turned into Wile E. Coyote out there.
That's right. And I felt that he was the most fortunate guy on the roster because he isn't going to play. It's just not time yet. Chief Ryback saying Harrison looked like crap. I really don't know that he looked like crap in the second half. I think he was nervous and he was inexperienced in the first half. Robert Krieg is saying good points on Harrison. Well, there are people who will always agree and disagree. Brian Morris is saying Browns will still suck. No, what this does is this is kind of like a hung jury. And I don't mean a jury in a pornographic movie. I mean, it's like a hung, thank you. It's like a hung jury. Neither a win nor a loss, but it does not dictate that the Cleveland Browns will still suck. What it does say is that they didn't give up and they stayed after it. And they did something we haven't seen in ages, which was get turnovers by making big plays, by recovering fumbles, by strip sacking, people and doing what they were supposed to do. That's unusual. We haven't really been seeing that. Shouldn't Huey have been carried off the field like John Cooper when he tied Michigan? No, actually, Huey should have been tied and then carried off the field and thrown back into the lake.
No, he should have been thrown into the Cuyahoga.
There you go, and put on fire. Just stop, dude. The Browns remind me of the Ravens when they first moved to Baltimore and improved defense, train wreck of an offense. And that's a good comment. let's look at it this way, folks. I mean, there are going to be some people who are going to be negative Nellies no matter what. And you know that I try to keep it real. My feeling about this is that when you're as bad as we were roster-wise in the past 2 years, and especially last year, you are not going to shore up both sides of the ball in one off season. We did a hell of a job in putting together and getting some breaks on some draft picks who are helping us and some free agents who are helping us defensively. We shored up, the Denzel Ward pick looked really good today. Demarius Randall looked really good today. So we bring back.
And I remember you and Bronk both fucking talking down to me when I said they needed a lockdown corner, and that's what they picked.
Well, there are a lot of people who questioned a Denzel Ward selection, and we'll see as the season goes on what exactly happens. He had a great first week under difficult circumstances, and that's tremendous. But it's not just him. We got Avery out of nowhere. These types of things help us out, and but you're not going to shore up every issue, and you weren't going to shore up the quarterback position in one season. You got your guy. You got the guy you wanted. He's just not going to play right now. But Carlos Hyde is a workman-like running back, but he's never proven he's much more than a 3.9 yard per carry kind of guy. Chubb is young and inexperienced. We don't know what we have. Duke Johnson limps off the field every game he plays. We know what Tyrod Taylor was when we got him, and he's a custodian. And let's not take that the wrong way. He's keeping a seat hot and warm for somebody else. He's not going to be here next year. He's going to move on somewhere else, and Mayfield will be your quarterback next year. But he is not the strike, the quick strike kind of guy. He's a guy who's going to keep you in games, and hopefully you built up your defense and you can stay close.
And Tyrod Taylor's comfort zone as far as throwing the ball is anywhere from 18 to 25 attempts max. He is not going to go out there and throw the foot. You can't expect him to throw the football 40 times and be successful and not turn the ball over at all.
Well, that's it. I mean, look, the fact that he did what he did in Buffalo, it's reflective of the type of team that surrounded him. And yeah, he's not going to pull the fat out of the fire with big throwing games. But again, I'm trying to focus on the reality of the Cleveland Browns situation is that if we've improved our secondary and improved our linebacking core and we've improved our wide receiving core, all right? If that's all we did and we kept our defensive line the same, except that Myles Garrett is healthy, the fact that we don't have a big-time running back or quarterback right now, look, that's a hell of a lot of improvement from 0-16. Let's be honest about it. I mean, if you were expecting this team to come out and become a juggernaut on both sides of the ball, I just want to see improvement. And I want to see improvement in the offense as the season progresses. But I already saw improvement in our secondary and our defense. And with our desire, I saw improvement. So,
yeah. Zero Fats, Jarvis Landry had 7 catches on 15 targets for a little over 100 yards.
Yeah, now, Renegade's in there saying Tyrod's got to go Baker now. And, that's silliness. That's just kind of silliness that, Brian Morris says Browns fans are all gay, which is interesting why you're here, Brian Morris, because you have latent homosexual tendencies. If you really believe we're all gay and you're here in the chat room, then you're obviously seeking male attention, aren't you? Boy, oh boy. You know what the bottom line is? Even if we were gay, Brian, we wouldn't fuck you because you're stupid, you're ugly, and you're from Pennsylvania, where priests rape little boys. Maybe that's what you want, Brian. Maybe you're critical of us because we're all gay, but you're a pedo. That's what I think. The Browns are going to be in the Dome next week. Yeah, they will, against a team that lost 48-40, for God's sakes, but can hang up a lot of points on you. And Coleman says, Andrew Coleman says, the defense will give up 30+ next week, just like every year. It's good. This is going to be hard in a dome against that team. It's going to be a challenge. That's all I'll say, because we can't give up a lot of points. I mean, I think what I said on Friday is we can't afford to give up more than 20 points. Well, we did. We gave up 21 and we barely tied the game.
Renee, Tyrod was actually talking about the defense when he says, when he's using the word we. The defense played their hearts out.
You know, now the Steelers are not winning the division, Chief Ryback says. This year, the Ratbirds and Bungles. Well, look, the Ratbirds are one snap away from, Flacco getting hurt. And the Ratbirds played about the worst team, I think, in the league. The Nathan Peterson catalog bankrupted in this game, 47-3. And you're telling me I really don't care. The Buffalo Bills are horrible. And Andrew Luck, who admitted that he initially, or secondarily injured his shoulder skateboarding or snowboarding or whatever the fuck it was, is a douchebag. I think people before the season began felt that this was the year of Andrew Luck determining whether he's just a guy who came out of Stanford with high expectations or whether the worms turned. And I think this is a bad first indication on that. Just Stop Dude said, so the goal is to Tim Couch Mayfield. I think the best thing for Mayfield is to minimize the influence and damage Hugh does to him. It's not like Hugh is sticking around. Again, the thing that's funny about all this is what's improved is the defense. And what has really not improved is the offense. And that's the only reason Hugh was supposed to be here in the first place, I believe.
Or special teams.
That's terrible. Terrible. I mean, why
you're giving up all these yards to Barry Switzer?
Yeah, right. And he's dead and buried in Oklahoma. And the other thing is how Jabril Peppers is still returning punts. I have no idea. I mean, there were 10 yards of green grass in front of him, and he's fair catching the ball. He just doesn't have a feel for it. He's not fast enough. I wish that they would stop with that. I don't know why Antonio Callaway didn't get opportunity to return a punt. With that much yardage in front of him, he could have busted something. But instead, we continue with the same tried and true thing. And Jabril Peppers is bound to be a disappointment, folks. He's bound to be. He's a guy who came out of college kind of with question marks around him. And every day and every week I see him, I think less and less of him. Renegade is saying Moorhead. It's Moohead. It's Moohead, Renegade. Moo. I'm a cow. Moorhead. That sounds like your mom. Honey, Moorhead. Yeah, stop making excuses. Just win. Look, I would like to have seen the last kick go through too. It would have been a storybook ending. But you know something? You got to crawl before you walk. We could have lost this game much more easily than won it. It would have been a really circuitous route to win this football game, down 21-7 in this weather. It really would be difficult. So I don't know where you're getting your gumption up there, Renegade, but yeah, chill out. I feel fortunate we got what we got out of this. The Steelers are awful on D, Chief Ryback says. DC Gaming says, I'll say that Mayfield would not have missed the 2 underthrows. I agree with that. He's got a better arm than Taylor does, and Taylor is trying to nurse the ball in there, and that throw to Njoku looked like he could step up into the pocket. He got on the scramble. He had a broken coverage. And Njoku, there's no guarantee Njoku would have caught it, let's be honest, but he had the man beat down the field. But instead of really striding into the ball, he nursed it. He kind of soft lobbed it, gator armed it. And that's a quarterback who's not real confident. Let's see what else we have here. And anybody who's watching the post game, as far as the interviews with Hui and all that stupidity, you can make the comments in the chat room. I always like to reply to that. A lot of people commenting, a lot of people watching, which is really nice. We seem to be picking up right where we left off last season. Thank you, everybody, for paying attention to these shows. This is the 15th year that we've done halftime and post-game shows. So it's and
we did have a Josh Gordon appearance in the game.
Yeah, we did. They throw the ball up to him. He will catch it. If you underthrow it, he will not. It's really just that. Joe Askew was saying Harrison hasn't played versus starters until today, and that's what I expected too, that he would have trouble. Has any head coach
kept why I would expect them to run the ball like 45 fucking times rather than 40 pass plays.
Especially after that drive where they blew him off the line of scrimmage. It looked like, boy, they had him on their heels, but no, it just didn't.
Yeah, I even put in the Yahoo chat thing, the game tracker. Maybe somebody would like to block TJ Watt before he puts Tyrod Taylor in the ER.
Yeah, now Chief Ryback saying Baker's going to see the field soon. He saw it today. He just had a hood over his head and he was staying dry. He's going to see a lot of the field. He's just not going to get on it right away. Has any head coach kept a job with a 3% winning percentage? I don't think he's going to be around that long, to be very honest with you. As far as I can tell, a tie is a step up. That's the way I look at it too. Mark Ross says, I think the Browns sandbagged for the second half. No, I think that the first thing that I thought is it's easy to come out in your home opener after the preseason and think you're ready. And then the game starts and it's like, whoa, this is going like a mile a minute. This is going way too fast. And your legs are numb underneath you. You're not playing, off the push. You're playing off your heels. I think the Browns came out in the second half of the football game and started playing with
quicksand.
Yeah, right. And I think they came out and played a little harder and they had a little more intensity. I think that they're experiencing things for the first time. And, what it would be like, how would I describe this?
There's a Foreigner song.
I'm trying to think. The guy in the chat room who called us gay. Brian Morris. I could use him as an example. It's like learning as you go. When you haven't experienced something before, kind of like Brian Morris's mother in an orgasm, if you haven't experienced something before, then
you never know. She could be into anal fisting or something.
What do you mean? Both of them and you could clap. God almighty. 2 cow hooves up there banging against each other. Goodness gracious. Every time Brian Morris's father was ass pounding his mother, he would sing Carefree Highway. Geez. I mean, we're talking about, Autobahn. Very well traveled. I think I've done enough for him. But no, I do believe that they were experiencing things for the first time and they geared up. And, every guy who walks off that field is going to know, fuck, we had a chance to win that game. And that should make them hungry for the next one and the next one and the next one. It's like, damn, we could have done that. Could have been 1-0. Could have gotten the monkey off our back and done it to the Steelers at home in horrible weather and with tenacity. We hung in there. Every guy is feeling that way. There isn't a football player in that Cleveland locker room who feels like they won today, but I'm just trying to be fair and say, something, it's better than a loss. It's better than where the game was going in the third quarter. I can tell you that.
Yep, because I thought it was going straight into the shitter.
Well, we've all seen it happen often enough, haven't we? You know, the offense does have no identity. I think that's very true. I think the identity of the offense was disorganization. Again, you have to judge how disciplined the players are on the guy who calls himself the CEO of the team. And again, Hugh Jackson fails because the team was not disciplined. I understand we're young, we're excitable and all that stuff, but we were not disciplined at all. And it cost us in so many ways during the course of this game. And I hold him accountable because somebody has to be held accountable. And that's the position he wanted, and that's what he's got. The Browns and Steelers are both bad. That was what was established today. Now, I think what was established today was the weather was incredibly bad as the game progressed, and the Steelers were uncharacteristic. And just, I'm really surprised when they had an opportunity to just flatten us that they just went to the handoff and they were saying, well, the Browns can't hurt us. Browns can't hurt us. And that is as bad as same old Browns, because they were playing the same old Browns, and the same old Browns almost came out and whipped their ass because they stopped playing. They started handing the ball up off the gut and not even trying to get first downs and turning the ball over to us. And they lost their intensity because they were so sure that we were done.
Chief, Bubby Brister was not very big, and he got knocked around a lot.
Bubby Brister? Where in the fuck did that name come up from?
He said Baker is a smaller version of Bubby Brister.
Now, who said that?
Chief.
No. It's a bigger version of Bubby Brister. You know,
smaller version of Bubby Brister.
Bubby
Brister wasn't that big.
and not only that, but I mean, I don't know.
He might have been 6'3", but dude, he wasn't. If he was 200 pounds soaking wet, I would have a hard time believing that.
Bubby Brister.
I think his playing weight was more like 185 or 188, something like that.
Doggy Bones asking, did Ogba play much? He was in and out of the game. He was in, and then he got hurt, and then he came back out on the field. Didn't hear his name called particularly much, so he may have gone back out of the game. Joe Askew said the Browns +5 in takeaways today. Since the Browns returned to the NFL, teams with a turnover margin of +5 are 132-4-1. Well, we're the one. Look, but you can't have everything, can you? The Browns, by the way, are responsible for 2 of those losses and the tie. It's really unbelievable, though. You know, yeah, we can all blame Hugh Jackson. That's fair enough. We finally agree on something, Renegade. DC Gaming says, Hugh just said Tyrod did a great job considering the weather. You know, it's the NFL should get rid of tie games. This one ended the way it should have. I'm sorry. Neither of these teams deserve to win. That's really what I believe. And I'll stay with that belief. So now BLK heavyweight. So I guess you're just not going to talk about the elephant in the room, which is the horrible offensive play calling. Fair enough. The offensive play calling, and I did on the halftime show, the opening game planning of 11 out of 12 passes when you were trying to establish a running game in bad weather seems almost unbelievable to me. And it's like I said, it seems like we end up with brain damaged people. They become brain damaged whenever they come to Cleveland to be offensive coordinator. It was, I would say the play calling was exceedingly poor, and that's a bad debut for Todd Haley. That much, that would be an understatement. All right. Cyprian Johnson in the chat room. Cleveland stayed in the game because Tyrod didn't turn the ball over. Mayfield, being a rookie, would not do that, but he also might make the throws that won the game. But we have time to find out. Hi, Mark Ross. How you doing?
Yes, you don't have to throw him out there.
Joe Askew is my guy. He's a guy who very often comes to these shows and tells me what's being said after the game. Hui said the Steelers were offsides on the field goal they blocked. He was correct about that. They definitely moved early and were offsides. There were a number of calls in the game that makes you just scratch your head. I would urge everybody to take a look at that last play and look at the right side of the line. Before the snap, the guy jerk over the line of scrimmage, who was the guy far from the outside. He is not the person who blocked the kick. Okay? The guy who blocked the kick was an interior guy because the kick didn't get off the ground, but they were definitely offsides. I agree with Hugh Jackson on that, but it wouldn't have mattered really, because I don't know that in the next kick that Zane Gonzalez would have done any better. That's going to be a tough one for that kid to overcome, because you have everything on your back, and you know it was like the last two punts for Colquitt were exceedingly poor. One was exceedingly poor, and the other one was a line drive that could have allowed a very large return. Your special teams are exceedingly important, and were very bad for Cleveland today. But it's going to be tough for that kid to overcome this, because, boy, you know, you got to get that kick up and give yourself a chance. And it just looked like the whole thing. I mean, it was a good snap too. It's not on anybody but him.
Well, if they would have called the offside penalty, that would have put the ball on the 20-yard line, which,
look, had they not called the push in the back, and I still want somebody in the chat room to talk about that, the push in the back that was called against Myles Garrett. Did anybody see it clearly? Because they didn't show it from any other angle. I mean, it was right at the very end of Schobert's run. I don't get it. Schobert went out of bounds at the 7-yard line. We would have been kicking the field goal. That would have been it. The game would have been over. It's an extra fucking point. But they never showed it again. And, you know, again, the thing that bothered me more than anything, you know, Bruce Arians can go fuck Brian Morris's mom. You know, join the club. I mean, what you know, did you hear what he said prior to Boswell's miss? Gee, I sure hope he hits this one good. Now, what kind of a comment? Go back and watch the game. He sneaks that in there. Gosh, I hope he hits this one good. It's like, you know something? You shouldn't be paid, except by the Steelers. What kind of, you know, the whole thing, he was like that the whole fucking game. The whole fucking game. And
maybe he thought he was doing the Steelers broadcast instead of a national broadcast.
I'm just lost. The whole thing. The whole thing. I was just lost on it. But yeah, the fact that the Steelers missed a field goal too, that's unusual for a guy who was 35 or 38 last year. The Browns were very fortunate to have escaped that. The Hawk is in there. You guys need to lighten up on your team, and I agree with that. You played freaking outstanding on D. I'd say for the most part that's true. We did have that letdown after we got to 7-7. That kind of, you know, that little period of time kind of got, you know, and then we were down 21-7 before you blinked an eye.
Wasn't that when Connor had those huge runs, or was that a different drive? Oh,
we got back into the game. No, it was right the first possession after we tied it at 7-7. Ben Roethlisberger threw 3 passes and they were in the end zone. I mean, it was quick. Then after that, they just ran through us and looked for sure like, oh, I see how it works. We fight our ass off to get back to even, and then we just take our foot off the brake. And then damned if Pittsburgh didn't do the same thing. Same thing. Took their foot off the gas and let us back into the game. No team deserved to win this. Boy. I've got so many comments in here. This is awesome. Just because I believe that the chat room is the lifeblood of the program, you know, and you know. I didn't see the end of the game. Who won? Somebody's really a comedian, right? Yeah. All you missed was that Brian Morris's mother didn't come again. Okay, that's what you missed. At least it wasn't a kick six. That's right, Cyprian. Yeah, block goes the other way, right? That's the that would have been the most crushing, distressing loss of all. But you know, it didn't happen that way either. So you're right; it could be worse. And the Hawk is saying, you all need to thank the refs for that punt call, keeping you guys in this. What punt call? I don't know. The game should have ended with that punt. I'm not sure. Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, you missed the field goal. Yes, you're right. It should have, but I mean, your players have to execute, dude. You know, it's like your guy missed. It goes that way. So did our guy miss. What do you think about Gordon starting? Ron Leffman, how you doing, Ron? Good to see you again this year. I didn't notice him in the beginning of the game at all. So, you know, and it seemed like the only thing
we had a Josh Gordon appearance when he catches a 17-yard pass.
Yeah, but you know the thing that bothered me about it is it looked like they were only running him out there vertically down the field. There was nothing over the middle. There was nothing that really entailed running a pass pattern. I wonder how healthy that hamstring is or whatever, because
well, they may not have wanted to push it in shitty weather.
Any number of possibilities.
It might be a different story when they go to New Orleans because indoor artificial turf.
Everything,
practice field.
Everything was a jump ball. And I don't know that that's exactly what you wanted in that situation, but that's what we got. Tyrod looked worse than Manziel.
Well, then Des Bryant may have actually done some good in a game like this.
But, you know, it's interesting. He says Tyrod looked worse than Manziel. But, you know, that's not nearly as bad as Brian Morris's mother because she never even sees who's fucking her. All right. No, I'm not going to get off this. No, I'm not. I hate Pittsburgh fans, and I'm not going to sit there and tolerate it. Goddamn.
Blindfolds are extra charge.
Fucking peanut nose picking pricks. Crazy dog. 6 turnovers and we tie. Okay. What the fuck? All right, crazy dog. Yeah, I understand. They gave us a chance. You know. Then Chief Ryback says a moral victory for the Browns. Yeah, the city of Pittsburgh is going to, you know, I think Mike Tomlin after the game said, if we lose another game like that, I'm going to jump into the Monongahela. It's a black head coach thing. I don't know what it is. It's a baptism thing. I don't know, this jumping in the water when you lose. They almost gave up, Raw Dog says, until the turnover happened. But that's how one side of the ball picks up the other. Maybe one day the offense will be able to pick up the defense. That day isn't here yet.
Well, you know, some of Njoku's people are cannibals. Maybe we can send them off to West Africa.
Yeah, Justin Belkey says, how about Denzel Ward's 2 picks? That's why they picked him over Chubb. Yeah, we got the other Chubb who doesn't know how to block properly. But no, yeah, Denzel Ward, you know, he got beat a couple times over the middle, but you know something? He got a little bit juked off the line of scrimmage. Antonio Brown's a great receiver. We'll leave it at that. I think Denzel Ward played a great game for a first game for a rookie.
Kept him under 100 yards. He still had 9 catches and a fucking touchdown, but, you know.
But I'm so far behind. Everyone's making comments so quickly. Somebody give Nick Chubb a playbook. Yeah, there we go. Either be a running team or not, but man, that was a disorganized mess of an offense. It was not cohesive. There ain't no doubt about that, Raw Dogs. It was not cohesive. It's worse than you said. It's worse than kissing your sister. You know something? Kissing your sister is better than fucking Brian Morris's mom.
Well, I said it's worse than kissing your sister.
I don't know. I don't have a sister. Wonder.
Well, when I was talking to Renegade.
Yeah, Gemini 605 says, is Way going to jump in the lake later this year? Dilly. Nah, he already escaped that. Our receivers are taller. We should have thrown the ball 50 times. That's what BLK Heavyweight said, and it's like wrong. They were just running blitzes at us, and we proved we could run the ball on them. We just didn't have a coherent, consistent plan. Yeah, I'm only up to the point with the Bubby Brister bullshit. I mean, that's how far behind I am in the chat room. I mean, I can't keep up. PC Gaming said the calls in the 2 minute and inside the 20, and also last 5 minutes of overtime. Hugh said as much himself. So no, Haley did a good job when he was allowed to. I want to see. I really want to see the block in the back that took us out of the field goal range initially, and I wanted to see that the offsides on the block kick. I really want to see that again. Let's see. Now I'm seeing boy, it's a BS call on Myles Garrett when Joe Schobert ran the interception back. That's what Mark Jones is saying. Now, I want others, to chime in. If they saw a different angle on this, it's possible that he really did something egregious, SAT word, but something? Boy, it seemed like a preordained flag going up on a play where we had just about won the game. Yeah, Connor got 135 yards on the ground, which is too many, and Ben 335 in the air. But you know something? He also turned the ball over. Fuck Ben Roethlisberger. Hugh says, we'll get it. The offense fixed. What fantasy world is he living in? Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, Brian Morris's father.
That's when you know you're living in a fucking pocket plane of hell.
Yeah, Brian Morris's father got fixed. It's really funny. He didn't realize that he was actually putting it in the wrong hole. Gordon definitely started.
What happens when you're born with only one testicle?
Now we're getting into some stupid things I'm not going to repeat. They had calls, we had calls, it evens out. The officials tried their best to ignore the offensive holding calls on third down by the Steelers in the first half. So that's kind of, I guess I'm up to date on the chat room. Is that correct? Or maybe it just overloaded on me. Wow. What's the last comment you see in there, Brian?
Well, I responded to Mark Ross. Bubby Brewster was the heir apparent to Mark Malone. And I said, and I reminded him, and Cliff Stout.
Oh, Cliff Stout was classic. But no, Mark Malone was the best one. Mark Malone was like, the guy, he'd wave the terrible towel and the fans would boo him in Pittsburgh. It was awesome. The only guy they hated worse was Cordell Stewart, a gay black man. They said, Pittsburgh fans are not very nice people. Not very nice people at all. Well, I've said everything I wanted to say. I've responded to everybody in the chat room, and I'll leave it at this because we've had a long and fruitful post-game show, and it was a longer than normal football game. But I'll take this. Even though I wanted the win. I really wanted that last kick to go through. I really thought that would have been just a huge uplifting thing to take pressure off of the offense for next week, knowing that the defense gave them a win. Can't have everything. Yeah, what's your final word, Brian, before we get out of here?
Chief had a comment, and I'm going to say only Milo Yiannopoulos.
Okay, well, we're not going in that direction on the Browns post-game show.
Well, he said Joe's like gay black men, so I said, well, only Milo Yiannopoulos. He married one.
Everybody, thanks a lot for tuning in to both the halftime and the postgame show. I'm going to put both of them up with the archives so you can watch both the halftime and the postgame show. A lot of people watch well after the fact because they're listening to the postgame interviews and all of that kind of stuff. But thanks a lot for supporting the program. I appreciate it. I'll be back again next Sunday, but it'll be from Florida. I'm going back to Florida early this year because of some medical issues that I'm dealing with. And so the next time you see me, I will be in hot, humid Florida. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you again, tomorrow on Moohead Radio, 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, as we take a little longer look at the game, and maybe I'll have changed my mind about something between now and then. Thanks for tuning in, and until tomorrow, hasta la vista, Pasture Heads. Good night.